What would it feel like to be truly, deeply happy, regardless of your circumstances? Did you know that happiness is a choice and not a result? That you can create your life on purpose? Join us now to learn more. This is the Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. And here's your host, mindset coach, and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott.
Hello and welcome. Welcome to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott, mindset and empowerment expert. And today we are talking about some yummy stuff. We always talk about yummy stuff, but today is good. Today is good. I'm actually really excited about this. This show today was sort of born out of a thought process about maybe a month or two ago. And I'm really excited to dig into it. So you're with me, and we're going to talk about this: build your bridge, break through your limiting beliefs so that you can build your bridge. Are you excited? I am. So on Time to Rise and Thrive, what we do every single Friday is we come on here live, 1 p.m. Eastern, and whatever it is in your time zone. And we do a conversation. We have a conversation about mindset, about what is holding you back? How can you break through or break free of those limiting beliefs? And what does it take for you to create something, a life, the life that you really desire? Now, this one is really getting into the meat of exactly that thing. So we also talk about our subliminal soundtrack. We talk about recognizing and understanding your unique beauty, your value, the contribution that you are to the world. Yes, we do. So if you're looking for someplace positive, if you're looking for someplace that can help you shift your belief systems and start to create that life that you would really like to have, you are in the right place. Every Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, live, and then you can find the recordings on inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Just look up Jackie Mott or look up Time to Rise and Thrive, and it will give you a whole list of all of the episodes that we've recorded. All right, so really quickly, just in case people are new to the show, I like to share with them what I'm talking about when I say subliminal soundtrack. So this is my terminology. I've heard it called many different things: internal dialogue, all kinds of stuff, right? My terminology is the soundtrack because I perceive it as being a loop of messages that plays in the back of your mind all day, every day. It is based on little bits of information that we've gathered throughout our lives. So every conversation you've had, every relationship you've been part of, every lesson you've ever learned, and every single experience has given you little bits of information that you've gathered together and stored back there on your subliminal soundtrack. So what do we use that for? We use that to create our belief systems about ourselves, about what is possible in this world, about all kinds of stuff, really about everything. So what does it mean to love or be loved? What does it mean to have money or not have money? What does it mean to feel fulfilled and happy in your career? What do all of those things mean? That is based on that information. So when we find ourselves sort of stuck and we're working toward getting to a goal or a place or a thing, and it's just not happening, very often there's something back there that's causing us to hold ourselves back or create blockages, sabotage ourselves. Yes, we do that, don't we? I know I've done it a million times in my life. Sabotage ourselves so that we can't ever quite get there. So what do? Two very important pieces of information to understand about the subliminal soundtrack. The first is what you believe to be true will be true for you, even if it's based on completely incorrect information, right? Interesting. The second is that we create our circumstances to support the belief systems that we carry. So whatever is back there that is causing us to create a belief system, we are actually engaging with the world, with the people in our world, in a way that allows us to create our circumstances in the way that makes sense for that information, that belief system. So again, if we find ourselves sort of holding back or not getting somewhere, often it is that information that is the hang up. So the good news is that we can change that information. It's not even that hard to do. So right now I'm going to tell you, JackieMott.com. If you go there, there is an article that I wrote a few years ago called 5 Steps to Create a mindset wired for success. So it's all about breaking through those limiting belief systems and getting to the good stuff, propelling ourselves toward the things that we want instead of holding ourselves back. Go and grab that article. It's my gift to you. It gives you all the steps, and there's all kinds of other stuff that we do that can help you if you need some support going through that process. So how does this subliminal soundtrack idea relate to this building your bridge, breaking through your limiting beliefs and building your bridge? How does it relate? So if you believe that we have to settle for what we have, or that our circumstances are what they are, and we should learn to live with them because of the decisions that we've made in our past, something beautiful and amazing may be standing right in front of you right now, and you probably won't even see it. It's a thing. But if you believe that your happiness and your desires are at least as important as everyone else's, that you already have everything that you need within you to accomplish whatever you would like to accomplish in your life, and because of that, you can accomplish anything you're willing to work toward, you'll be looking for the opportunities, the people, the resources, the circumstances that will help you to build that bridge to reach the thing that you would like to reach. So when I'm talking about this idea of the bridge, this came to me a couple of months ago, and I was just sort of thinking, how do I illustrate this idea of our mindset? So I was talking about how I became a mom when I was 17, and when that happened, I picked up all kinds of misinformation that I believed to be true, about myself. And I bought into these ideas that my life was over, that there was no possibility that I was going to recover. I would never have the things that were previously available to me. And what that caused was, it caused me to create my life based on that information. Do you see where I'm going with this? So I limited myself. I didn't take risks. I didn't take chances. I didn't move toward, because I thought everything was so out of reach. I couldn't do those things anymore. I couldn't have those things anymore. Right. So it was very much to me like I'm standing on this side of a cliff, and right there on the other side is that thing that I would like to have so much, whether it's a career, whether it's an education, whether it's a relationship, whether it's money, whether whatever it is, it was right there. I could see it, but I did not believe that I was worthy of it, that I was deserving of it, or that I could get there. So a couple of different things happened. At first, I kind of felt sad about it and beat myself up about it and all of that kind of stuff. And eventually I just walked away. Eventually I walked away from the life that I would have liked to have, because I didn't believe it was possible for me. Do you see how important this information is? The truth of the matter was that I was still exactly the same person that I had been before the baby. I was still smart. I was still hardworking. I was still ambitious. I was still, resilient and willing to work hard. I was still exactly the same person. The only thing that changed was that there was now a baby to be taken care of. So did it complicate things that circumstance came into my life? Sure. And would it take longer? Maybe. Did it mean that I couldn't have that thing? Absolutely not. And I got to tell you, there are times when I think about that girl, that gave up on everything that she had dreamed of. And it hurts my heart. It does hurt my heart, because it was so unnecessary. And if I'd been a little bit smarter, a little bit more mature, or had different people in my life that may have offered a different perspective, my life may have turned out completely differently. So I want to save people some of that angst and some of that trouble and help them move forward more quickly. And that is why I do what I do. The truth of the matter is, that thing that's standing right there on the other side of that cliff, that thing is available to you. My belief system now is, if I can see it, that means I can get to it. If I can see it, if I can feel it, if I can imagine it, and we're talking about some of the law of attraction, manifestation, all of that kind of stuff. And we're talking about it because it's true. There is truth in those things. There are universal laws out there that actually cause the universe to start to put things in place to help you when you believe and when you take action. So that thing right there, I just need to figure out how to build a bridge from where I am right now to that side so that I can get there. That's what I believe now. So there are resources, there are people, there are things all around you, opportunities, courses that you could take, all kinds of stuff that is available to you to help you build that bridge. There might even be people who will get on the bandwagon with you and help you with the building. Those things are available when we start to look for them. We have to be in the right mindset so that we can see. We have to be in the right mindset where we believe that there are possibilities that we're not aware of yet, and we just need to look for them. There are tools, there are resources, all of them right at our fingertips, but we don't realize it when we have that mindset that believes that we're stuck and we can't. Do you see what I'm saying? So how do we do this? We're going to grab yourself a pen and paper if you haven't already. This is going to be a good show because we are going to dig right into what do we need to do to shift our belief systems, to believe that things are possible for us that we didn't realize. Grab yourself a pen and paper. And if you need to go back and watch this episode again so that you can take some notes, maybe you're not in a position where you can do that right now, go to inspiredchoicesnetwork.com and look us up. You can find all of the recordings. We've been doing a lot about this breaking through your limiting beliefs over the show or on the show over the last month or two. And some of the stuff really might help. So go and find it. Watch it as many times as you need to. This is the thing. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about this really briefly before we go to our break. And then when we come back, we're going to dig in a little bit deeper. So we do these things. We do this creating our circumstances based on those belief systems by taking action on this and not on that. So again, when I was 17 years old, I believed that I didn't have an education, so I couldn't have a good job. That was something that had been sort of taught to me from the time I was a little girl. You need a good education. Now I've got these responsibilities that complicate my getting a good education. So I settled for minimum wage jobs. Okay. I would go back and forth to school, back and forth to a minimum wage job. I would get tired. So there was like this cyclical thing. I would get tired of being broke. So I would go and find a minimum wage job. And then I would get tired of working a minimum wage job. So I'd go back to school. And then I'd get tired of do you see what I'm saying? It was just this cycle that I got caught up in. So I never really got anywhere. And the longer I remained in that cycle, the more it reinforced those belief systems that I wasn't worthy. It was never going to happen. It didn't matter how hard I worked. It didn't matter anything. Nothing mattered. I better just get comfortable. I made this bed. I'd better get comfortable in it. Have you heard that? Right. Right. So those were the kinds of things. Now, I want to share with you a resource that really helped me. I found this when I started a new business, and I was involved with this company that was really big on personal development. Somebody handed this out at one of our meetings one day, and I took it and started reading it. Now, what I did with it was after I read it the first time, and it made me sort of go, wow, really? This is possible? Oh my God. Then what I decided to do was every night, every single night for probably a month, maybe two, I had this sitting beside my bed, and I read it every night before I went to sleep. And it's important for us to understand that that is the stuff that starts to shift things that we are committed to, tapping into. This is a resource. This is a resource that helped me change so many things in my life just because it helped me change my circumstances. So in case you couldn't see it on the screen, it's That Something, and it's by William W. Woodbridge. How One Man Learned the Secret and Transformed His Life. Now you can too. So it talks about this man that's going through the depression, can't find work, doesn't have money to feed himself, doesn't have money for clothing. And one day he meets somebody who offers him just a little bit of a nugget of a different perspective. Now he takes action on that. And by the end of the story, it's very, very short. By the end of the story, his life is completely changed, completely changed. So we all have this thing inside of us that is it maybe it's sleeping, or maybe it's, who knows, maybe we've covered it up with so much bullshit that it can't get through to us. But we have this hope, this faith, this idea, this belief that something else might be possible for us. And that story helped me to tap into that. That's where the change began. That's where the change began. So I'm going to head us to our first break. When we come back, I've got a really great story that will help illustrate how this worked for me, what changed, and how I did that. So stick with us for a moment. You are with us on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. And when we come back, we're going to dig into some real life experience and examples of how to make this work for you. We'll be back in just a moment.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. Today we are talking about breaking free of your limiting beliefs and breaking through so that we can actually move toward the things we desire, to build that bridge to that other side where we can see it. We can see it. We know it's there. We know it's there. What do we do? What do we do? So the first thing that we need to consider is we have to be willing and open to things being possible that we didn't believe were possible. The mind is a really wonderful thing. It works so well. It just kind of goes on autopilot. Most of the time, we don't know even what's going on. Hence the subliminal soundtrack, right? But it also causes our heart to breathe, or to beat, and our lungs to breathe, and all of those bodily functions that need to happen. It causes all of those things. The problem with the mind is that it's limited. It's like a computer. So a computer, you have to input the information into the computer so it can process, right? Same thing with your mind. There are literally millions of possibilities out there right now that we just don't know about because they have not yet been part of our experience. It's so simple. They're out there. So what happens when we shift from this mindset of I know to what could happen? Maybe I don't know. Maybe there's something out there that I don't know about yet that would help me to get to that other side. What else is possible? What is possible for me that I'm not currently aware of? is not it's a fun question to play with. It's a fun question to play with because it takes us into that, like, it's almost a little bit like magic. What could I create for myself that I'm not aware I can do yet? What skills do I have that I don't yet know about? Do you see what I'm saying? There's so many things that could happen if you started to open up that mindset and create the space for possibilities. Just create the space where something else could come in, somebody else could show up. All of that stuff, it's available. You just don't know about it because the mind is limited to what it already knows. Okay. So it's about expanding our mind and our belief system. So I want to share with you a story that really, really, really made this clear for me. So at a certain point, we were living in another city. We didn't really know a lot of people, but we'd been there, I think, about 2 years. And my then husband had been laid off again. And that was sort of the way that our lives had gone. It was, he was working, no, he wasn't. He was working, no, he wasn't. He was working, no, he wasn't. And I'm not saying that as a slam against him or anything else. There were circumstances, this place would lay him off, or that place would close down, or, things like that. But that had been our reality for a very long time. And I remember just getting to the point of, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I'm tired of having to ask for help from family members. I'm tired of the uncertainty and stress that comes with not knowing if I'm going to be able to pay the rent this month. I am tired of not having things that I would like to have. I remember going one day to lunch with some business associates and ordering like the cheapest thing on the menu because it was the only thing that I felt that I could afford. So I sat there and pretended that it was what I really would like to have. It wasn't. It was just that that's what I could manage. And I probably drank water. Do you see what I'm saying? I was tired of being broke. I was tired of living in this, what is that? Subsistence kind of lifestyle, lack. There's never enough. There's never enough. There's so much uncertainty. And so what happened was somebody came to his work that had previously moved out to Alberta, which is a province here in Canada, and had had tremendous success making that move. He came home and told me about it, and that started my little brain thinking. And I started to think, well, maybe. And the more I thought about it, and the more I prayed to my higher power about it, and the more I considered the idea, the more I knew that that was absolutely the right thing for us. It was necessary to get away from this space of limitation, this space of we can't ever get there, and open up to a new possibility. So we moved to Alberta. Now, when we did that, we literally sold almost everything we had, and we packed 2 vehicles with ourselves, my son, and our dog. And we drove thousands of miles with nothing waiting for us at the other end except a hotel room. There was no job waiting for us. There was no money, really. We had sold so much of our stuff and paid off credit cards so that we would have enough to get there and survive for a week or 2. So we get there, and now we're in this space. It's a brand new world, right? Brand new world, new people, new space, new city to get to know, new opportunities, new. Do you see what I'm saying? So in order for me to ultimately break free of some of those limiting beliefs, this was crucial. Okay, this was crucial. What we did over the course of a few months shifted my mindset in huge ways, because I no longer believed that it wasn't possible for us to thrive. I no longer believed that we had to just get used to surviving, that we couldn't change. We'd already changed. We'd already made a massive change, and I had to believe and have faith that we would find our feet when we got there. So over that 3-month period, we found a home, and I think we were in the hospital. I think we were in the hotel for the 3 months before we could move into our home. We all found work. The money started to flow. the money started to flow into us. We were able to replace the furniture that we hadn't taken with us. And you might be surprised, maybe you wouldn't. People showed up. There was this person who said, "Oh, I've got a couch in storage. I don't really need it or want it anymore. Could you use that?" "Yes, thank you." "Oh, I've got this over here. I've got washer and dryer." Our realtor, "I've got a washer and dryer that's coming out of a home that I'm selling because the people that are selling don't want it, nor do the people that are moving in. Would you like it?" "Yes, thank you." So we went about building this life, and at first it was a bit crawling, but over time it allowed me, and I'm not going to speak for anybody else. I know that there were changes for the other people that were involved in that move, but that's not for me to talk about. So for me, what it allowed me to see myself in a completely different light. Nobody knew me. Nobody knew me there. So what did they know? What I told them about myself. So I was no longer that 17-year-old silly girl who had ruined her life. I was now this woman who had, built a life, who took a chance, packed up a car and drove across the country. So what does that say? Well, I'm brave, I'm strong, I'm smart, I'm resilient, capable of landing on my feet no matter where I land. Do you see what I'm saying? And those were the messages. People were like, wow, you literally packed up a car and moved across the country into a hotel room to make this happen. Wow. I didn't even think about it that way. So you see, those messages that we're surrounded by, the people that are reflecting things back at us, really have an impact on us, because all of a sudden I started to see myself in a very different way. Now, the other piece of this, it allowed me to stand on my own 2 feet. If we had stayed where we lived, we would be very likely continue, like right now, we may still be barely surviving and needing support and help and all of that kind of stuff. But there, it was like the land of milk and honey. Anybody who was willing to go after it and work, there was work, there was money. So all we had to do was be open and willing to do those things, and the money was flowing. Do you see what I'm saying? All of a sudden, for the very first time in my life, I felt financially secure. I felt like we would have enough. I felt like the bills were paid. I felt like I could go to a restaurant and order what I wanted, not the cheapest thing on the menu, because that was the only thing I could afford. Okay. So this is the kind of stuff that started to shift in my mind. And those were the things that became the building blocks for the new life. The last thing, it allowed me to test my own wings. So could I fly? Would I fail? Maybe. Maybe I would. What was the worst thing that could happen? I could go back to the place that I'd been and pick up that same old life. That was the worst thing that could happen. I wasn't going to die, right? The worst thing that could happen was I could have to go back and pick up where I left off. But that didn't happen. It didn't happen. I found my wings and I soared higher than I had ever believed I could before making that move. So it helped me develop confidence and self-assurance and this inner knowing that no matter whatever happened, I would land on my feet. And that right there is a huge piece. If you believe that you can get through anything, then anything that comes your way, you're starting with the attitude of, I'm going to get through this. If I see that thing right there, my mindset is, I can see it, therefore I can build a bridge and get there. Do you see what I'm saying? Mindset is crucial when we are talking about these sorts of things. So I had to build my bridge. I had to build my bridge to a life that wasn't merely subsistence living, that was, comfortable and fun and where I felt good about myself. And I had to shift a lot of things in order to do that. But building that bridge started with believing that it was a possibility. Building that bridge started when my then husband came home and told me about this guy that had moved to Alberta. And I allowed myself to wonder if that was possible. That's where it starts. That's where it starts. You have to believe that something could get different for you. Okay, so that's where it starts. And then you start to build those resources, right? Selling our belongings so that we could accumulate enough money to pay off the credit cards to use them to pay for gas and have a spot to put hotel rooms and have some traveling money and a little bit of money to help us get set up, right? And then so it's step by step by step by step. So really quickly, because we have to head to our next break, the big thing about this is to make a checklist and be really straight with yourself. Okay. Worst case scenario, I'm going to take a chance and it's not going to work out and I come back. Worst case scenario. So think about that and be really honest with yourself. What is the worst thing that could happen? What's the worst thing? Then what's the best thing that could happen? And that's where you start to go into that realm of possibility and opening up and expanding yourself into something more than you realized you were. So what do you need? We needed to find work because we needed the money to continue to live while we figured out where we were going to go and all of those sorts of things. So we needed work, we needed shelter. So first we started in the hotel room and then we ended up buying a little place out in another town. Now we needed to give it time. We had so much trouble finding a place to live because we had Missy, our dog, and the housing market there was crazy. So by the time I would see an ad, the person very often had already committed to rent that place to someone else. And in a lot of cases, they didn't want to have dogs. So if I got lucky and they hadn't already rented the place, they would say, no, I'm sorry. So we had to start looking at other options, right? We had to start looking at other options and we needed to allow it the time. Now, if we had just gone, we can't find a place to live, I guess we go home then and there, none of the other stuff would have happened. So you got to carry that belief that it's possible and allow for the time and the circumstances to show up that will support you to get there. Flexibility to adjust as the circumstances shifted and changed, and willingness to do what was required. So I really sincerely mean, make yourself a checklist, be honest and straight with yourself, figure out what's the worst case, what's the best case. And usually we find ourselves somewhere in the middle, don't we? Yeah. Okay, got to head to the next break. You're with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott. Today we are talking about breaking through your limiting beliefs, breaking free so that you can build a bridge to the life that you truly desire. Stick with us for just a minute. We'll be right back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? Our subliminal soundtrack plays in the back of our minds 24/7. It's filled with everything we've ever learned about money, relationships, body, and sexuality, about every single aspect of our lives. If you don't have what you desire, the Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program may be the very key to changing it all. In this 8-week program, designed by Jackie Mott, you'll learn to replace messages that stop your desires with new ones that not only support you in creating what you truly desire, but expand your life to higher levels of joy and pleasure. Go to phoenixcoach.ca today to sign up and begin creating your life on purpose.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott. Today we are talking about breaking through and breaking free of our limiting beliefs so that we can actually move toward the life that we truly do desire. Build your bridge. Build your bridge. It's so, I don't want to say it's so easy, because it's not easy. It is not easy to do that. But once you understand and learn how to do these things, it becomes much, much easier. Once we address those things on our subliminal soundtrack that are holding us back or causing us to put up walls or blockages in front of ourselves without us even knowing it, once we start to actually understand and do the work, it's not hard to do. The steps are simple, but it can require something of us. Once we understand, it gets much, much, much easier. So this is the segment of the show where we talk about the like real sort of concrete tips and things like that. If you haven't already, I would encourage you to grab yourself a pen and paper while we get ready to dig into this stuff. So also, reminder, go to www.jackiemott.com and you can download my article, 5 Steps to Create a Mindset Wired for Success. So much of what we're talking about today is in that article. There are all kinds of other options. I've got other articles that I've written, and if you need help, just find me. If you need help, please just find me. Facebook, you can find me, Jackie Mott, Mindset and Empowerment Expert. Again, we're here live every Friday afternoon, 1 p.m. Eastern, and we're talking about these things. You can email me through the site. You can get in touch with whatever. Just if you need help, I'm here. These are the things that I love working on with people. And there is very little that makes me happier on this planet than when I see somebody light up because they get it. All of a sudden, it's like the possibilities are open and wow, I can do something about these things. So find me. This is my thing. I would be happy to help you work through whatever it is that you need to work through. So let's get into it. The first thing that is so very incredibly important is your mindset. I keep hammering on that because it is the thing. So this thing that I went to bed every single night for a month, maybe 2 months reading before I closed my eyes and laid my head. What that does is it helps to sort of start to shift. It puts you in a different space. It puts you into, well, it put me into, let's not talk about you. It put me into a place of possibility, like, wow, this guy was in the depression. There was nothing. The resources in the depression were like so limited. Oh, but maybe they weren't. Maybe they were a little bit more difficult to find. Maybe it was a little bit more work to tap into them, but they were still there, weren't they? They were, because he found them. So if he can find it, if this guy who is walking around with shoes that nowadays we would throw in the garbage, and no food, and sleeping in a jail cell just so that you have shelter, if that's what he was living with, good God, why am I not? Do you see what I'm saying? Because my resources are so much more apparent if I look for them. So your mindset is absolutely the place to start. If you are working with limiting beliefs, you must you must break through them. You must break free of those in order to move forward, because if you don't, you will carry those limiting beliefs into that new phase of your life. And that is what often will cause people to sabotage the thing that they're working toward, whether it's a healthy relationship, whether it's a new job, whether it's whatever it is. Okay. We will sabotage ourselves and ruin that thing because we create the circumstances that support the belief systems we carry. So if we don't feel worthy, if we don't feel like we can, or we should, or we deserve, or any of those things, we will sabotage it really quickly. Think about those lottery winners. You hear about it all the time. Lottery winners win millions of dollars, and within a couple of years, a lot of them are flat broke, or even worse, they're flat broke and in huge debt. Do you see what I'm saying? So this is the thing. We will rid ourselves of the very thing that could create so many more things for us if we have the limiting beliefs that don't support us having them. Do you see what I'm saying? Mindset is essential. Do whatever you have to start functioning from a place where things are possible for you. The hope, again, that article, that little story made me think, wow, okay, well, again, if he could do this, why can't I? Why couldn't I have the same results? Why couldn't I create the things that I want? If he could do it, why can't I? Shift, massive shift. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes. So fill your head with thoughts and read things and, listen to podcasts, listen to whatever. There's so much stuff out there. Come and join us Friday afternoons. Listen to it. Fill your mind with the stuff that causes you to go, maybe, and maybe is the starting point. Maybe is the starting point. So start to imagine it and allow yourself to really experience the imagining of it. Start to imagine it and really experience, what would it be like for me to take a trip to Spain? I can so imagine what that would look like. I can so imagine what it would feel like to lay on that beach. I can almost smell the air, right? The salt water in the air. I can allow yourself to really just soak in that. Allow yourself to imagine it and completely soak in it so that you can experience it. Now, do you know if that's correct? No. Does it matter? No. Do you see what I'm saying? Our mind doesn't know the difference between real and fiction. Our mind does not know the difference to be able to say, oh, no, you don't know what it smells like to smell the sea air in Spain. I can imagine it and I can experience it just by doing so. Okay. So surround yourself with the people, the resources, the books, the podcasts, whatever, that help you to get into that space of open to the possibilities of maybe, of wow, it's right there. It's right there. How do I get there? Shifting the mindset, absolutely essential. If you are someone like me who is working with a mind or a subliminal soundtrack that has carried limiting beliefs and been reinforced and reinforced and reinforced for years on end, shifting the mindset, and it must be purposeful. Find the help. Find me, find the help. All right. Second thing, start looking for the resources you need to build your bridge. If it's money, what can you do to bring in your money? Could you get a part-time job? Could you start babysitting? Could you sell some of the things that you don't need anymore? What could you do to bring in the money that you need? If it's support, where are the people that can help you? Is it a counselor? Is it a coach? Are they on YouTube? Are they running podcasts on Inspired Choices Network? Are they on Facebook? Where are the people? Who do you need? Do you need a coach? Do you need a counselor? Do you need a support system? Maybe a support group? Who do you need? Okay. And then be open to that showing up however it shows up. If it's a skill set, do you need to go back to school? Is it a diploma, a degree? Is it a weekend course? Is it something that you can work on from home over the next 6 months? What do you need to develop that skill set? Do you need to go and get a mentor that can help you figure out how to put those things together? What do you need? Who do you need to help you arrive at that place that will help you to start to move in that direction? What will challenge your thinking enough? And what are the resources that you need? The third thing, and this is the final thing for this, take action. Take action. It doesn't have to be huge action. It doesn't have to be even in the right direction. Okay. Because here's the thing, rockets are off course 95% of the time. Rockets are off course 95% of the time. So what happens? They shoot them up into the air, and then the rocket is going like this, and then maybe there's a wind or something that blows it off course. So it has course correct, and then something else, and it has to course correct again, and it has to course correct. So 95% of the time, a rocket is course correcting to arrive at the destination. 95% of the time. Be prepared to shift, pivot, new information will come to you. Maybe it's that you thought that this was going to be the thing, but no, it's really not. Or you thought that this course was going to get you to where you want to be, or you thought that you would enjoy this kind of work, or you thought that you would enjoy that activity, and you find that maybe you don't really enjoy it as much as you thought you were. So you need to shift, and you need to be willing to adjust. Flexibility, adjust. Eventually you will get there. The thing that we have to remember is, like anything else, when we are sort of doing this, like there's the thing, how do I build this bridge? It's a new experience. There is all kind of knowledge that we need in order to do that. And it will come to us a little bit at a time very often. This person will say, hey, have you thought about? That person will say, oh, I have a couch. This person will say, hey, I've got a chair. Do you need that? Do you see what I'm saying? All of a sudden, those things show up that you never expected. And before you know it, you have a home. That's what happened for me. And this is how I know. Was it hard? Sure. There were some really tough days. Was there fear? Of course there was fear. We had no idea. I had no idea. We were on a wing and a prayer, and I was the one who had sort of pushed for this thing. So I felt probably even more responsible for making sure that this wasn't a huge mistake. Do you see what I'm saying? So when we are in that position, we have to be open and willing. We have to be open and willing to ride with it, to be open to the possibilities, the people, the resources showing up that we're not expecting. I had no idea that people were going to offer us furniture they no longer needed. I had no idea that this person was going to not want the washer and dryer, and it was going to end up in our house. I had no idea that we were going to find that particular house, or that we were going to meet these people. I had no idea until we started to move in the direction, right? I'll tell you this, we had this beautiful trailer. Now, like one of those ones that's built like a house, not one of those ones that's in, that Trailer Park Boys movie or shows or whatever, right? My son, he was about 16, 17, somewhere in there when we went out. And one of the options that presented itself, because we were there and we couldn't find a place with the dog, one of the options that presented itself was, well, maybe we could buy a trailer and live in a trailer park. And so we started to investigate and drive around. They were, these trailer parks were not the kind that you expect to see in these movies. Do you see what I'm saying? So we worked with that idea for a period of time. And my son was like, I am not living in a trailer. I will go home. I am not living in a trailer. And I was like, but you have no idea. So come and see. So we ended up in this trailer that was actually one of the nicest places I've ever lived. I loved it there, in this little town that was really quite yummy and small, and we made good relationships, all of that kind of stuff. So I've talked right through our break. I'm sorry there. I'm sorry, Barbara. All right. So now we've got to wrap it up. Here's the thing. If we hadn't taken the chance, if we didn't make that move, I'd have never known that I could do it. And how that has served me. Remember, I talked about this thing where now you've stood on your own 2 feet. You've learned so much about what you can do, the strength, the resilience, the I will figure it out. I know that now. No matter what life throws at me, I know that I will figure it out. And I know that because I've done it. Okay. So I have proven it to myself, and now I can never doubt it again. So when my marriage ended, I was like, yeah, it's hard. Yes, it sucks. Yes, it hurts. Yes, there's a lot of things to figure out, but you know what? I'm going to survive this. I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to come out on the other side even better than I started. So whenever we are faced with those massive challenges, we know that we will find our feet. We know that we're going to get through things. I want you to really hear what I'm about to say. I'm going to ask you really to pay attention to this. No matter what you have done, no matter what your past looks like, what mistakes you perceive that you have made, you do not have to allow your future to be defined by your past. You do not have to allow your future to be defined by your past. This is huge. You deserve to have happy life. You deserve to have a job that makes you feel fulfilled. You deserve to have healthy relationships, joy, love. You deserve the same care, compassion, and respect that you would show to anybody else, and especially the people you love. You deserve that. You deserve everything. So if you have an idea that there is something over there that you would like, do what you need to do to shift that mindset, to believe in yourself, to believe things will show up, and start building your bridge. We can do this. When it's mindset related, we have to remember that we can change it. You can change your life. It doesn't even have to take long. 6 months from now, you could be living a completely different life. How do I know that? Because I've done it many times. Yes, your life could be completely different. What do you want? All right, my friends, that is what I've got for you today. I am so grateful for you coming and spending your time with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. The quote that I want to leave you with is, when you're standing on the edge, staring across at something you really desire, you have two choices. Go for it or don't. It's really that simple. You get to decide if you're going to moan and groan and walk away, or if you're going to get busy looking for the opportunities, the people, and the resources that can help you build the bridge to get there. It's up to you. What do you choose? There you go, my friend. That's what we've got for you today. It has been such a pleasure. This stuff, I just love talking about this stuff. I love sharing my thoughts, and sometimes they're not so good. Sometimes they're pretty good. Yeah. So you can find us here again next week, Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to be talking about enough isn't good enough anymore. There is a theme. Are you starting to see it? There's a theme going on in the show over the last couple of months. I love this. So enough isn't good enough anymore. And we are going to be talking about shifting our mindset to bring in what you really deserve and desire to have in your life. So join us back here again next week, Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Find us on inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can go and look for all of the episodes. We also have an app. I don't know a lot about apps, but go to your app store and you can download it. It's free. And then you can listen to us when you're walking, when you're wherever you want to be, wherever you want to listen to us. There are so many other hosts that have similar ideas in what they present. They just, say things in a bit of a different way. Find me again at JackieMott.com or on Facebook at Jackie Mott, Mindset and Empowerment Expert. And don't forget to get that gift from me, that article, 5 Steps to Create a Mindset Wired for Success. So thank you again so much for being with me here today. I hope that something that we have talked about has helped you to shift your mindset and maybe believe, just maybe, that something else could be possible for you, because that's where it starts. So thanks again, Jackie Mott, Mindset and Empowerment Expert, InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. And the show is Time to Rise and Thrive. So until next week, remember, it is your time to rise and thrive.
Thank you for joining us for Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. Jackie Mott will return next Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Have a fantastic week, and remember, it's your time to rise and thrive.